So, like a lot of people with a PS4, I am finally getting to experience the excellent Titanfall 2. And while there are a ton of aspects of this game that I love, like the incredibly fun, fast-paced multiplayer, or how I was grinning like a school kid when BT threw me for the first time in the campaign, there is one moment in particular that I think really sums up the greatness of this game. A campaign mission titled Effect and Cause. Minor Titanfall 2 spoilers ahead here.
Pilot, Major Anderson is here. Investigate this facility. I will meet you on the other side.
It's too quiet. We could be walking into an ambush.
Agreed. However, close quarters recon is the sole domain of the pilot.
I'll keep my eyes peeled.
Proceed with caution.
So this mission takes place about midway through the campaign, and it follows your character, Cooper, and his Titan, BT, as they attempt to find their MIA superior, Major Anderson, at a destroyed enemy science facility. When the duo arrive at the facility, the place is wrecked, and there are dead enemies everywhere. Shortly after arriving, Cooper finds Anderson, and he isn't doing so hot.
Anderson's dead. But I have his helmet. Unlike him, it appears to be in one piece.
Well done. If you bring it to me, I can analyze his helmet for important data.
Using Anderson's helmet, Cooper learns that Anderson was sent here on a secret mission to find a super weapon that the IMC was building and figure out how to stop it. Now, during this mission, there has been a rip in the space-time continuum in the area, so Cooper is being tossed between the past and the present to see what this facility was like before it was destroyed. Cooper uses this time-traveling phenomena to find the bottom half of Anderson's body, and more importantly, a device on his wrist.
Sorry, Anderson.
This device is the reason why, for me, this mission is the best first-person shooter mission I have played this generation, and one of the best ever made. Whereas before finding this device, Cooper was being forcefully thrown between the past and the present, this device allows Cooper, and therefore the player, to take control of this time-hopping phenomena, and it is brilliant. Giving the player control over time creates a deep and dynamic gameplay experience that I don't think I've seen anywhere else before. I mean, sure, there have been plenty of games that have used time travel as a gameplay element. Prince of Persia and Braid spring to mind. But those games, and many others like them, mostly use time travel as a way to retry something that you messed up. I mean, hell, even Forza has a rewind system if you crash. What makes this instance of time travel so unique is that it takes this familiar concept and uses it in a totally new way. The fact that the time travel is happening in real time, with the player hopping between two instances of the same place, and not a rewind system, creates a crazy deep platforming and combat experience. Like, if you have ever played pretty much any 3D platformer, there always seems to be this challenge. Two sets of platforms that appear and disappear in a rhythmic order, and you have to jump between them to traverse an obstacle. Well, Titanfall 2 has that same challenge, except the player is in control of the timing of the platforms. So now you have the usual challenge of timing, aiming, and controlling your jumps, while having the bonus challenge of being in control of whether or not the platform you are jumping to is even there. There were at least a few times where I switched to the wrong timeline or switched timelines too fast or slow, and the platform I was aiming for wasn't there, and I fell to my death. In a way, this part of the game is like the Dark Souls of first-person platforming. Now, I know, it's a cliche to bring up Dark Souls, and please don't leave, please hear me out. I think I actually have a really good point here. all of the Soulsborne games, you can play through the entirety of the games without ever dying if you are good enough and know the levels well enough. This is what makes these games so appealing to so many people, because when you die, it feels like it's your fault. You're the one in control. This same sense of responsibility is here in Titanfall 2 also, because you control when the platforms appear and disappear. You can make the timing as fast or as slow as you want. You're the one in control. So when you do mess up and fall to your death, it's on you, not the game. And, like when you beat a boss without dying in Dark Souls, this control is incredibly satisfying when the timing of your jumps blends perfectly with the timing of your time hops. This sense of satisfaction is also present in the combat, where the time traveling adds a depth and strategy I've never seen in any other FPS. One of the ways you can use this time traveling in combat is defensively. See, Titanfall 2's difficulties actually describe what they are. So, hard difficulty is actually hard. You usually die in 4 to 5 shots, and since the enemy AI is actually pretty good, their shots will actually hit you. So often in this level, when you find yourself overwhelmed by enemies and on the verge of death, you can swap to the other timeline to heal up and change your angle on the enemies. You can also use the time hopping mechanic in an offensive way as well. When you swap timelines, your enemies lose track of you, so you can use the confusion to flank your enemies. One of my favorite ways to use this is against these shield guys. I love running full force at the shield guys, swapping to the present to slide behind them, and jumping back to the past to take them out from behind. Or you can get really tricky and throw a grenade at your own feet in the past, jump into the present to avoid the damage, and then jump back into the past to finish the enemies off. Although this is a lot easier said than done. This mission really shines when these three mechanics, the platforming, the combat, and the time travel, all come together cohesively. My favorite example of this is this room right here. This room has a glass ceiling that can only be moved through when it's broken in the present. However, the floor is on fire and will kill you quickly. Yet in the past, the floor isn't on fire, but there is a group of enemies that will shoot you on sight. So balancing where you can stand without burning in the present with how quickly you can take out the enemies in the past turns this single room into an incredibly challenging and satisfying puzzle in of itself.
Give me a...
The peak of this mission, however, comes near the end when Cooper rendezvous with BT. This part of the mission asks you to use everything you've learned up to this point and apply it in a large-scale battle that involves Titans. And why this part of the mission is so good can be summed up in this clip here.
Pilot mode engaged.
Where'd it come from?
Excessive damage. Warning. Warning. Transferring controls to pilot. Enemy Titan down. Salvo floor ready. Salvo floor.
So in case you missed it, what I did was bring BT back to the past to help me fight the enemy Titans, but he started to take a lot of damage, so I bring him back to the present where it's safer. Then I hop out of him and go back to the past, leaving BT behind safely in the present, and I rodeo onto an enemy Titan and pull out its battery. Then I immediately jump back to the present, got into BT with the battery so he could heal, finally taking BT back to the past with me to finish off the enemy Titans and complete our objective. This clip shows just how dynamic and creative each player's experience of this mission can be just because of this one time-hopping mechanic. I really do believe that this mechanic is so good and unique that it can carry an entire single-player campaign. After this mission, you lose this ability to time hop, and I kept trying to use it on later missions only to die because I couldn't use it to make a quick getaway anymore. That's how much of an impact this one mechanic had. I'm sure it would be immensely difficult because the developers would basically have to make 2 versions of every level, but I really hope that some people over at Respawn can find the inspiration to make an entire single-player or co-op game around this mechanic, because I would buy that in a heartbeat. One final aspect of why I think this mission is so good is how the time travel affects how the story plays out. The mission ends with the weapons test being activated early because of Cooper's actions, causing the facility to be destroyed. So all of the destruction, all of the bodies that were found by BT and Cooper at the beginning of the mission was caused by Cooper. Also, Anderson's body is not there in the past. Also, the way Cooper finds his body makes it seem like he died in an explosion, meaning that his death could very much be Cooper's fault. The fact that the game shows the consequences of the player's actions before the player even takes those actions is some of the most daring, intelligent, and creative writing I have ever seen in a game, and it's frankly amazing. At the beginning of the video, I said that there are tons of reasons why I think that Titanfall 2 is an excellent game, and this is just one of them. So if you do have a PlayStation 4 and you have PS Plus, I definitely recommend giving this a download. It's free, you know, what harm can it do? Plus it'll also show EA that there is still a community for this game. I mean, the fact that this game has had so many players just in this month alone really could show EA that Titanfall is a valued franchise and that it can be continued and it can be successful. So even if you don't have a PS4, it's still on Xbox One and PC. It's dirt cheap now. Definitely recommend getting this game because it is a blast. So finally, have you guys played this level? Have you guys checked out Titanfall 2 yet? Let me know what you thought of this mission in the comments below. I really do think that it is one of the most special campaign missions in any FPS ever. Also, what do you guys think about this mechanic actually being translated into a full long-term experience? Do you think that this mechanic is interesting enough to hold a game up on its own, and how would you design a game around it? Let's start a dialogue in the comments. I really do read every single one of them, and I try to respond to as many of them as I can. Thank you very much for supporting this channel. We're almost at 2,500 subscribers, which is mind-blowing, so thank you. Yeah, I can't be any more thankful for the people who are supporting me over here on YouTube. Until next time, I'll see you later.